nice to be here. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be out of the house because I've got kids. I'm a mum, so I like to be out quite a lot. Don't worry, darling. I'm not gonna go down that thread. I understand your pain. I'll never go to a comedy club with my son. That's for sure. That's for sure. But it's nice to be out. But you don't get that many mum comics on the circuit. There's not that many of us, which means that I have to spend a lot of time with young people who don't really know how to talk to a mum. Like I'll be sat backstage at a gig, and I was sat backstage, and I was talking to this lad. He was probably about 20, right? And he had no idea what to say to me, like how to make conversation with a mum. He was like, "So, Esther, got 2 kids. Which one's your favourite?" I hate them both. I don't. They're cute. They're very, very cute. It's just that I'm a shit mum. I try not to get involved. They're like flowers, self-raising, to be honest with you. But I see all these gorgeous women in the audience tonight, all these girls that look like they've dressed up to go for a night out, and I remember how that used to be. I remember getting ready for a night out, and you'd be like, put some music on, open a bottle of wine, spend half an hour doing your hair and makeup. Do you know how I got ready for this gig tonight? Wet wipe my crotch, Febreze my armpits, I'm done. She knows, the woman in the back, she knows. Still wearing the same makeup I put on Monday. It's bad, no, it is difficult. But I do like travelling for comedy for that reason, because it gives me a bit of break from parenting, it does. So I like travelling a lot. But the more I travel, the more I realise, right, that we English, right, we're not cool. We're not cool. We're not cool in any way, shape or form. Because I went to New York, right, and I was in Times Square, and you've got all the billboards, right, all these big billboards, right, and they're advertising like Broadway shows, designer clothing, but in the middle there's this massive billboard, right, and it's got the president of Iran's head on it, right, and at the top it just says, "You are not welcome here." And I'm like, that's fucking gangster. That's pretty fucking cool. I mean, I've got no allegiance to Iranian or American politics, but that's fucking cool. That's like Jack Bauer shit. That's like Jason Bourne. That's like fucking Idris Elba on ice shit. That's so gangster. Because I was like, what's the equivalent we got in the UK? What's the equivalent we've got of an anti-terror slogan? If you see or hear anything suspicious on the channel, please alert a member of staff. See it, say it, sort it. I mean, we've got a slogan that sounds like it was written by Barry fucking Chuckle. Ridiculous. Except the Scottish, they're gangster. They're gangster because they use the same slogan, see it, say it, sorted, right? But they're gangster. Because I was on a train, I was getting a train from Edinburgh to Glasgow, right? And I was on the train, right? And as we pulled into Glasgow, this Glaswegian guy comes onto the tannoy and he just goes, "If you sit, tell me, because I'll sort it." And I won't lie, I was really aroused. It's good to be here, it's good to be here, it's good to be here, because to be honest with you, I get some stupid comments sometimes as a mum, as a mum comic and a female comic. I get some really stupid comments, especially at clubs, you know, think gigs that you're doing. Because I was doing this one gig, right, and I got up on stage, right, and I noticed that in the audience there was a massive group of like white skinheads, right, huge group of them, and they're all sat there, bold guys, right, with their England shirts on, and before I've even said anything, one of them stands up, right. Now he is the angriest man I've ever seen. He's the whitest man I've ever seen, right? He's completely bald head, very shiny bald head. He was also wearing a roll neck jumper. I mean, he looked like a stick of roll-on deodorant, if I'm honest. And before I could even say anything, he was like, "Oh, fucking hell, lads, what we got here? Female comedian? What's she gonna talk about? Her vagina?" I was like, "Mate, I don't want to brag, but I've given birth to 2 8-pound babies, so my vagina is absolutely fucking massive." You know what I'm talking about, darling. You know what I'm talking about. Fellow member of the Large Lads Club, she knows what I'm talking about. You know, so don't you, darling? Every month I don't bother with tampons, I just use a Pringles tube. We pay tax on tampons, we don't pay it on Pringles. But he didn't like that as a response. He didn't like that. He got annoyed. He got really annoyed. He went, "Do you know what, darling? You're starting to piss us off." He said, "If you're not careful, you're going to be going home in an ambulance." I said, "Well, that's just weird, pal, because ambulances don't take you home." He didn't like me. He didn't like me. He didn't like me at all. He didn't like me at all. The other reason why they didn't like me because I was a woman, but they also didn't like me because I talk about the fact that my family come from Lebanon in the Middle East, so that explains why I've got the eyebrows of 8 men. Also explains why my pubic hair doesn't end, which is because you guys think I'm wearing leggings. Honestly, I'm so hairy down there, so hairy, so much, oh God, so hairy down there. So hairy down there, I've had 2 babies, both of them were born with carpet burn. But I don't give a shit anymore, I don't care, I don't bother, I'm not bothering waxing, nothing. I've got an arse crack that looks like one of the Jackson 5 trying to squeeze through a cat flap, I don't care. I don't care. But the stupid comments, right, the stupid comments, they're not just in clubs and stuff, right, I get it in my personal life as well. Like, I went to watch my kid's nativity, right, I went to watch his nativity, right, and he was playing the part, right, I love the way you just sighed, because she knows nativity's a fucking torture, she's like, oh God. It is, it's hell on earth, right. Now, I went to my son's nativity, now he was playing the part of a camel. Ridic, right. Now, as I watched him be, objectively, the most beautiful camel I have ever seen. One of the other mums, Linda, Linda leans forward, taps me on the shoulder and goes, oh, someone's been asked to play a camel because of Mummy's background. So I was like, no, Linda, you're wrong. Because firstly, there are no camels in Lebanon. And secondly, you can't be right because your son's playing a wise man and his come from a twat. Fuck Linda. But it's not just that, you get stupid comments wherever you go, and sometimes it's not even directed at me. Like 2 days a week I teach in East London, right? I teach film and journalism at a college, right? Now I'm sat there having a cup of tea, minding my own business, on my break, when one of my colleagues, so that's a teacher, not a student, right? He comes and sits down next to me holding a newspaper, and he goes, oh look, I've just read here that Jeremy Corbyn's asthmatic. I looked down and went, it says he's anti-Semitic. It's difficult. But I talk a lot about identity, but ladies, I don't know whether you agree with me, right, because I've realised that nobody is as misrepresented, right, as us women in TV adverts. Because TV adverts makes all us women look like a bunch of absolute dickheads. You switch on the TV and there's some moronic bit going, you know what I find really fulfilling? You know what I find really decadent? Muller Light yogurt. It makes us look simple and weak. And talking of which, you know recently women got the right to drive in Saudi Arabia, go on the girls, but, I mean, there are still a lot of women in prison for campaigning for the right to drive in Saudi Arabia, but Theresa May still needs to sell her arms to someone, so she's not going to do fuck all about it. Dickhead. The thing is though, right, this cleric comes out in Saudi Arabia. Now he did apologise, but I don't think he meant it. And he came out and he said, women should not be allowed to drive because their brains are 1/4 the size of men's. They are the simpler, weaker sex. And this went all over Twitter. So I replied, I went, simpler? I have a son and a daughter. And when I went to pick my kids up from school the other week, right, my daughter comes out carrying her books looking normal, my son comes out, no books, 1 shoe. It's true. Anyone with sons know. You go to a school, you see all the girls lined up, all the boys are just headbutting a wall, and you're like, yeah, they're the superior ones, yeah. And it's difficult raising kids now. It's difficult raising kids. Do you know why, right? Because you can't smack. It's totally taboo. Which is weird, because when I was a kid, I got smacked. Everyone did. It was normal. Do you remember that expression? You wait till your dad gets home. Felt sorry for my dad, been at work all day, the moment he got in, he had to start beating kids that haven't even pissed him off. But I'll leave you with this. I'll leave you on this, right? Because my dad, he no longer lives in Lebanon. He now lives with me. He lives with me and my husband and my 2 kids, right? And my husband's English, right? He's very English, very, very English. I'll tell you how English he is. We've been married 15 years, had 2 kids, yet he still signs my birthday cards. Kind regards, Neil. But the main thing that we disagree on in our household, right, is how to discipline the children, right? How to discipline the children. Because, right, my husband being very calm, very English, is like, when the children are naughty, put them into time out. Yeah, because that works, right? And then my dad, being very Arab, he's like, when the children are naughty, you put them into a hospital. And then there's me, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, right? So I'm like, I know what I'll do. I'll go find Linda. Fucking Linda. I'll find Linda, and I'll copy what she does, right? Because she's an actual mum. She's a proper mum. She's still breastfeeding her 4-year-old, right? So I went and found Linda, right? And she's outside the school gates, and she's telling off her 2 boys. So she stood there, and she's all like, boys, come here. Earth, wind chime, come here. If you don't behave, I will tell the Easter Bunny not to bring your fair trade chocolate egg this Easter. So I was like, okay, so I'll do. I'll use a fictional character to discipline my 2 children. So I chose the fictional character Jigsaw from the horror film Saw. So now every time my kids misbehave, I just go up to the loft, ring the landline. When one of the kids pick up, I'm like, do you want to play a game? I mean, if you can't smack, you gotta get creative, people, that's what I'm saying. My daughter's like, what's wrong, babe? That creepy man call again. Should have eaten your fucking peas. Guys, you've been a delight. Have a cracking week.